Alright, let us perform some derivatives for a given polynomial terms. Say a polynomial term is in the form c times x to the power n, where c is a constant number and n is a constant exponent to a variable x. Then a derivative of this polynomial term in terms of x would be constant n x to the power n minus 1. Let us talk about a few other formulas or a few other rules while performing the derivatives of polynomials. Say we have a constant number c, then if we have to perform a derivative of this constant number, then it's always 0. Another, let's say if you have x1 to the power n plus x2 to the power n, then if we have to perform this in terms of x, then your derivatives would be dx1 to the power n divided dx plus derivative of the second term. And it follows on if you have another terms here in summation, or maybe if there is a subtraction, then you'll be subtracting here as well. It might be easier if you remember rules of some basic algebra, like xa times xb equals to xa plus b, or maybe 1 by xa equals to x to the power minus a, and maybe let's say x to the power 0 equals to 1. And there are a few other rules of algebra that you might benefit if you remember it and then while performing the derivatives of polynomials. Implement those formulas in some examples. I would like to go through a few examples. Say example number 1, if we have function y equals to 8 times x to the power 7, then you can relate this term to the basic formula here, where 8 would be your constant, 7 would be n. So if you were to perform dy by dx, then what would it be? Dy by dx would be d8x to the power 7 by dx. Then your c is 8, your n is 7, which comes front, and then x to the power n minus 1. Easy. So just simplifying it, it's 7 to 56, x to the power 6. Easy, right? Let's go through another example. Example number 2. If y was equal to 12x to the power 4 plus 5x to the power 3 minus x squared plus 1, then we've already known the formula or basic steps of this polynomial term. So let's say if we have dy by dx, you can always refer this to this formula. Then this would be your derivative of first term in terms of x plus derivative of second term in terms of x minus, because here's a minus, so minus derivative of third term, so x plus derivative of last term in terms of x. So now this is simplified. This term is simplified into this basic term. Alright, this one looks familiar, easy. Now, so derivative of this first term would be your constant 12 times n4 times x to the power n minus 1. Similarly, this one would be your constant 5, 3 x to the power 3 minus 1 minus, here the constant is 1, so 1 would be 1, your n would come down, x to the power n minus 1. And here's an important thing to remember. We talked about this formula, derivative of the constant. So 1 is constant, derivative of constant will be 0. So let's just simplify this one. 48 8x to the power 3 plus 15 x to the power 2 minus 2x plus 0. Example number 3. At y equals to x to the power 1 by 2 minus 1 by x. Then how would you perform the derivatives of this polynomial? If you remember a few rules of algebra, as I said before, then your x1 by 2 minus, you can write this term 1 by x in the form of x to the power minus 1. So this, you basically turn that term into this basic formula here. So you can easily perform dy by dx, which would be your first term, derivative of your first term in terms of x minus derivative of your second term in terms of x, right? That will be equal to your n x to the power n minus 1 second term, your n x to the power n minus 1. So 2x to the power 1 minus 2 minus minus plus your x to the power minus 2. Now if you want to simplify it, you can just write this x to the power minus 1 by 2 by x to the power 1 by 2 in a denominator form, and then x to the power minus 2 into 1 by x squared. So this is our answer. Example number 4. Say you have y equals to 1 minus x. Then your derivative dy by dx would be your first term, derivative of your first term, dx minus derivative of your second term, right? So your derivative for first term would be 0 because 1 is constant and the derivative of constant term is 0. And then second term, if you look at his 1, your constant is x to the power n minus 1 because n is 1 here. So this would be equals to minus x to the power 0. And if you remember the rule of algebra, any variable to the power 0 would be 1. Let's say if y equals to, let's make it up this way, y equals to square root of x, and it's pretty easy. So I'm not going to solve it. I know you guys already know how to solve the derivatives of polynomials. So if you solve this one, then please write your answers in the comment section below.